After the company laid me off, I got my severance pay. I didn't want to look for a job right away. I wanted to rest for a while. I planned to lock myself at home and hoard some snacks. And catch up on the dramas and novels I missed over the years. I ordered various potato chips on the Orange app. Snow crackers, hand-torn bread, mung bean cakes, cookies, and drinks. When they arrived, it was 2 huge boxes full. The delivery guy was panting from exhaustion. I couldn't help it. I'm a college grad from the countryside. I never got to eat these things when I was a kid. Both my older and younger brothers dropped out of school to work. My mom said, "My brothers worked hard to support my college education. I have to be grateful." So, over the years, besides my basic living expenses, I gave all the money I earned to my mom. My family finally caught up with the others in the village. We built a 3-story villa and set up a big courtyard. My older brother got married. My younger brother is currently going on blind dates. My mom has been nagging me lately, saying that when she gets older, she wants to retire in the city with me after working hard her whole life. Her health is declining, and the medical facilities in the city are better. Because of this, I was in a bad mood. So I didn't tell my family about the layoff or the severance pay I received. I didn't tell them I was unemployed either. Just let me be selfish for once. Let me indulge myself just this once. Since I had favored the Orange app, I couldn't leave the Red Dog app out in the cold. I ordered an air fryer, a slow cooker, and 2 40-pound bags of rice, a 50-pound bag of flour, and then oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, star anise, Sichuan peppercorns, cumin, and so on. Growing up, I used to feed pigs and cows. I was the head chef who cooked for the whole family. But after I started working, I only ate takeout and cafeteria food. I never cooked anymore. My cooking skills have gotten quite rusty. I wanted to pick it up again during this break. After all, people say life is all about daily necessities. The place I rented used to be quite close to the company. Since I often worked overtime until past PM, it's just a bit far from downtown. Our company was in the suburbs. An industrial park. Oh, wait, former company. After my impulsive shopping spree, I looked at the living room full of cardboard boxes and food. And I felt incredibly happy. These all belong to me alone. Human beings can be so weird sometimes. Once a certain outlet is opened, it's so easy to indulge in it completely. I actually got a bit addicted to shopping. I scrolled through various must-have life items online. The life you must experience. I opened the Orange app again. Added scented candles to the cart. Retro radio, +1. Childhood snacks, +1. Celebrity-style puffer jacket, +1. Must-have gadgets for a single girl, +10. After all the stuff arrived, I rejoiced once again that I had rented a 2-bedroom apartment back then. Otherwise, it really wouldn't fit all this stuff. That morning, I was lying in bed scrolling on my phone when I got a call from my mom. "How have you been lately? Your brother's blind date didn't work out. They said she insisted on buying a 180 square meter apartment in the city for your brother before she would agree to marry." Sigh, the bride prices these days are just too high. I stayed silent. If I still didn't understand what she meant, then I would have wasted my degree from a top university and my high salary at a tech giant. Seeing that I refused to speak, my mom continued, "I know you're having a hard time, but we are just one last step away. Once your younger brother gets married, I won't bother you anymore. I'll come find you. We'll live together. Mom will cook, do laundry, and take care of you when you get married and have kids. Mom can even babysit for you." I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Mom, I don't need you to babysit for me. You should take care of your health too. I've been quite busy lately, and I don't have any extra income. My brother is not a kid anymore. He should worry about his own marriage." This time it was my mom's turn to be silent, but she quickly changed the subject. "That guy in our village who's always foraging in the mountains. That village fool. The one named Zhuangzi. You know him, right? He recently got infected with some virus. I heard he was sent to the big hospital in the county. And he infected other people there. A bunch of doctors came down here. and sprayed some chemicals all over his house. They even told us villagers not to go into the mountains anymore. What's going on? Biting people and spreading infection? This? Why does this sound exactly like the virus in that movie I watched a few days ago? It sounds so similar. Lying in bed that night, unable to sleep, my mind started running wild with fantasies. I knew that Zhuangzi guy. We were the same age. He was born with some mental disabilities. He only had a dad at home. No mom. Legend has it that shortly after he was born, his mom realized he was slow and ran away. When I was in elementary school, Zhuangzi would always be outside our classroom, with a runny nose, making funny faces. If he caught some virus in the mountains, it's highly possible, because his dad passed away a few years ago, and he didn't know how to cook for himself. So he often traded things from his house for a bite to eat. Villagers would give him some food when they saw him, but it was never enough. So he often went into the mountains to forage for food. Did this virus come from the mountains? And then Zhuangzi got sick and was sent to the hospital. And then suddenly started biting people? Is it rabies? Or some other unknown virus? Thinking of this, I opened the shopping app once again. I ordered ropes, high-lumen flashlights, battery-powered stun batons, a set of household knives, a couple of tactical jackets, and 100 caddies each of rice, flour, and cooking oil. After finishing the order, I felt I was being a bit paranoid. I opened my phone to cancel the order. Just as I was about to tap cancel order, I saw a message from the seller. Thank you for ordering from our store. Currently, we are having a major promotion. Besides the ropes, high-lumen flashlights and other items you ordered, we are gifting you a military-grade tactical shovel and 5 pairs of gloves. Good grief. How could I possibly cancel the order after that? Anyway, this money, even if I saved it, wouldn't be enough to buy my brother a house. Might as well treat myself. I put away my phone and went to sleep. Early the next morning, something felt off. I felt incredibly hot. I opened my eyes and realized the sunlight was overwhelmingly bright. Blinding and extremely hot, but it's supposed to be late autumn. I fumbled for my phone. 7 o'clock a.m. This sun was bizarrely scorching. Unable to sleep, I got up and scrolled on my phone for a bit. It was unbearable, just too hot. I opened the window. A powerful wave of heat immediately crashed into me from outside. I quickly slammed the window shut and turned on the air conditioner. The trending hashtag about the sudden heat wave had already risen to number 12. Netizens were freely exercising their imaginations. Hashtag did the yes unjust explode? Hashtag what about the IC eat the poles? Hashtag I'm already laying in my freezer. Seeing laying in the freezer, I instantly craved ice cream. I opened the fridge. There was only one left from my previous hoard. I ate the last ice cream, which slightly relieved the heat. Then I chugged a glass of cold water. So refreshing. That classic soda commercial slogan popped into my head, crystal clear, chilling to the core. I suddenly really wanted to drink that ice-cold soda. I immediately went downstairs, heading straight to the supermarket. The entrance of the supermarket was already packed with people buying water and ice cream. Groups of 3 or 5 were passionately discussing the extreme heat. The owner's business was booming. He didn't have time to deal with me, so he just pointed his finger at a sign nailed to the freezer. It read, "Wholesale only, minimum purchase of 10." 20 minutes later, a worker from the supermarket helped deliver to me 10 large barrels of drinking water, while I carried 20 ice creams myself and put them in the freezer. Not to brag, but with the supplies I've hoarded, even if the apocalypse came, I could survive for 3 months. With that thought, I comfortably lay back on the sofa. I had just been scrolling on Weibo for 5 minutes when my mom's call came in. She yelled loudly at me, "Girl, that disease Zhuangzi got. Someone else in our village caught it too. The village chief isn't letting anyone go out anymore. He said even the experts have never seen this virus before. They are going to seal off the village if the virus shows up in the city. You absolutely must not go out. Wait until the virus passes, then come back home. More infections from the virus?" I looked at my stockpiled goods. I quickly asked if there was enough food at home. My mom wasn't worried about that at all. The countryside never lacks vegetables and grain. This year's new grain hasn't been sold yet. And we grow our own vegetables in the yard. Food is not a problem. I reminded her not to go out. And to keep some rubbing alcohol and disinfectants at home. She told me not to worry, saying the village clinic had disinfected every single household. And had even distributed 2 large buckets of some 75% alcohol. After hanging up, I immediately placed an order for 2 large barrels of rubbing alcohol, 300 medical masks, a gas mask set, and an oxygen tank. Then, I posted a message on a forum I frequently visit. A virus has recently been discovered in a certain area. It is said to be highly contagious. If any of you need it, please hoard some alcohol and masks just in case. Right after I posted, someone sent me a private message. It was my former colleague. He was still working at the company. He is the tech god of the company. The kind of tech god who would never be affected by layoffs. He told me that he had also heard news about the virus. Currently, some local news outlets were already reporting on it. It's true that we should hoard some supplies. He just didn't expect that I would have noticed it too. I explained to him in detail the situation in my hometown. He said, if there are any new developments, please tell me immediately. I thought to myself, you don't even know anything about viruses. What's the use of you knowing? But out loud, I honestly replied. Okay. One scorching hot day passed. The second day was still burning hot. Maybe even slightly hotter. Some people had already been hospitalized for heat stroke. Many hospitals were completely full. Because of the massive electricity usage from ACs, some areas began experiencing power rationing. I tried my best not to turn on the AC. I always felt that with this kind of heat, as long as I lay perfectly still, I could survive it. I had no mood to watch dramas anymore. While scrolling through short videos, I actually saw a video from my hometown of someone biting another person. I stared at the infected person in the video, whose movements were sluggish but possessed immense strength, grabbing people and biting them. Isn't this a legendary zombie? Looking at the comments, sure enough, a bunch of people were saying zombies had appeared. I quickly forwarded this video to my colleague. His name is Shang Chen. Shang Chen replied quickly, this looks like a zombie. But this person's movement and strength aren't outrageously exaggerated. It doesn't look exactly like what you see in movies. But this state is undeniably very similar. I searched for more videos like this and found that their destructive power wasn't overwhelmingly strong. Some people were even making fun of these infected individuals, teasing them into trying to bite. And when the infected opened their mouths, they immediately shoved a light bulb in. The zombie, now with a light bulb stuck in its mouth, would start mumbling and groaning. It looked rather comical. The surrounding crowd was in a lively, humorous mood. After watching a few of these videos, I started to get a bit angry. Shouldn't these people be sent to the hospital immediately? Why are they filming videos here? Just for clout. When I refreshed the feed, the videos had been taken down. The website issued a notice banning the upload of such morally questionable videos. At the same time, the news also published specific details about this virus, because more than a dozen locations across the country had consecutively seen this virus appear. A panel of experts from several universities and hospitals was currently studying it. They also warned the public not to mock or play around with these infected people, and definitely not to try tempting them into biting. If you spot an infected person, please call 120 emergency services immediately. I felt relieved. As long as the government steps in, this won't be a major disaster. I just need to lay low and survive because the weather was too hot. I went to bed quite late that night. When I finally woke up from a deep sleep, I felt something was slightly off. I stood on the balcony and looked down. Oh my God! When did the tree downstairs grow this tall? There seemed to be a person sitting on a branch, flailing their arms and shouting something. I live on the 26th floor. From this height, you basically have a bird's eye view of the small garden below, and all the plants and trees. But that tree downstairs, I remember it was at most reaching the 2nd floor. Now it had grown up to the 4th floor. I grabbed my binoculars and got a clear look at the person in the tree. It was a man. His expression was very strange. Drool was leaking from his mouth. The clothes on his body had been torn apart by himself. This definitely looked like someone infected by that virus. I was just about to dial 120 when I saw an ambulance pull up with sirens blaring. Several doctors got out, observed under the tree for a moment, and shouted up into the tree. When the man heard them, he prepared to jump down. The doctors were terrified, screaming, "Don't jump!" However, it was too late. With a heavy thud, the man hit the ground. The doctors rushed forward to examine him. Then they lifted him onto a stretcher. At that moment, the man suddenly seemed to wake up again. He raised his neck and lunged to bite. A doctor next to him got bitten right on the arm. I watched in pure horror. Several doctors frantically scrambled and managed to restrain the man. They treated the injured doctor's wound. Then the ambulance drove away with its sirens blaring. It seems our area had also seen its first virus infection. I shared this news with Shang Chen. He reminded me not to go out. Recently, in the city where we are located, there have indeed been a few cases of viral infection. He said. The company had already told all employees to work from home. The project he was currently working on was finished. So he and a few friends formed a volunteer rescue team. Their goal is to find infected people and escort them safely to the hospital. I expressed my admiration for his actions. He said modestly, he used to be a rescue volunteer in the past. He also added that he hopes more people will unite and face this together. I was hesitating whether I should also join the rescue team. Then he said, I know about the projects you did back then. I also know your technical skills. If you also want to help people, could you please gather relevant information online and notify us at any time? That way, you are also a part of our rescue team. Since he put it that way, it was hard for me to refuse. I also mentioned my confusion to him. I said the trees seemed to have suddenly grown much taller. He said he hadn't noticed this phenomenon yet, but he would tell more people about it, so everyone could observe and record together. After chatting with him, to be honest, I was quite excited. At this time, the virus situation was still unclear. Many people were still terrified, or treating the infected as a joke. Yet he had already joined a rescue team. His image in my mind grew significantly taller. I quickly opened my computer and phone, packaged up relevant info and sent it to him. Even though I was laying low, I still wanted to do something to help. As I started researching, the information truly opened my eyes. Netizens are simply too talented. On certain video apps, there were no more creators abusing the infected. Instead, people unleashed their creativity, crafting various tools to capture the infected. They formed volunteer teams to deliver the infected to treatment centers. People living by the sea crafted capture nets, basically using those large nets meant for big fish. They'd throw it over the head of an infected person before they could react. Then, they would quickly run circles around the infected. This way, the large net with a handle would wrap the infected person up tightly, successfully capturing one infected individual. People inland took inspiration from tongs and built giant clamps. Some were horizontal, some were vertical. When encountering an infected person, they just clamped them, lock the buckle, and wait right there for the rescue team to pick them up. This even sparked a massive debate, ranking as the third biggest internet debate after sweet vs. savory zongzi and tofu brains, the capture net or the giant clamp. Both sides debated endlessly. They set up their own super topics on Weibo, using humble brag styles, overly emotional literature, and aggressive meme styles to battle it out. The hype was non-stop. Let's not debate which tool is actually better. The appearance of infected people, popping up everywhere, didn't seem to throw the public into panic and anxiety. The news broadcasted 24/7 non-stop, updating new symptoms of the infected and the situation at the treatment centers. Social resources were still quite abundant. It felt just like a regular epidemic. I looked at the supplies I had hoarded. Never mind, I'll stop hoarding for now. Getting a batch of supplies for Shang Chen's rescue team, like capture nets and giant clamps, was the most urgent priority. So I opened the Dao app. Giant clamps plus 50, capture nets plus 50. I conveniently screenshotted the shipping info to Shang Chen and told him if they had any practical user reviews to let me know, so I could go vote in the super topics. Shang Chen expressed his thanks, then added, "Recently, some people got infected inside their own homes. Neighbors and family members were bitten off guard, causing the number of infected people to grow extremely fast." I looked at my front door. A single door didn't feel very secure anymore. I quickly booked some workers to install an extra security gate outside my door. After thinking about it, I called my landlord, saying I wanted to add a security gate. The landlord was thrilled upon hearing this. "I want to add one on my side too. Let's book the same company together. We might even get a discount." November 2nd was another bright, sunny day. This kind of continuous, scorching heat had lasted for 10 days now. The ice cream I hoarded had all been consumed. I went downstairs to buy ice. At this point, I didn't dare to take the elevator anymore. If an infected person suddenly acted up inside the elevator, there would truly be nowhere to escape. Walking down 27 flights of stairs, my legs were about to break. Limping my way to the supermarket, I tried to buy 50 at once this time, but the supermarket owner said he only had 30 left. "The weather is too hot recently. Ice cream is in short supply. If this keeps up, we'll have to start rationing." I quickly packed up all the ice creams he had and briskly walked to another supermarket in the complex. This owner said rationing had already started. Each person could only buy 10 at a time. So I lugged 40 ice creams back up. Suddenly, I remembered something. My period hasn't come in a long time. Could it be because of the heat? Did the heat cause me to change gender? I quickly reached up and grabbed my chest a few times. Oh my God, the 36C is still there. Scared me to death. When I got home, I frantically checked the feminine hygiene products I had stored. Sure enough, there wasn't much left. Time to order, order placed. Now my to receive list included 10 sets of sanitary pads, 6 bags of brown sugar, 2 pounds of ginger, 2 sets of sports bras, 3 sets of sportswear, and a pair of comfortable sneakers. I took a look at the stuff I'd hoarded. There was no real pattern. No careful planning either. This probably wasn't the best way. But right now, most cities had already seen cases of infection. Yet society was still functioning normally and in order. Does this mean this wave of infection is controllable? Or perhaps it won't have too huge of an impact? However, reality soon shattered my illusions. The next morning when I went to buy groceries, I found that in the supermarket, there were only a few wilted vegetable leaves left over by others. The meat was all the undesirable cuts too. The supermarket owner sighed heavily. There's been a lot of infected people at the wholesale market. I'm too scared to go buy stock myself anymore. Just buy whatever you can from what's left here. We plan to close the store tomorrow and hide out in the countryside. I hastily bought all the remaining edible meat and veggies, along with cured meat, canned food, Spam everything. Right after I put away the newly bought food, I received a call from my mom. This time, she sounded very anxious. "Girl, I heard people are getting infected over where you are too. I'm telling your brothers to go pick you up. Come back home immediately. Put everything else aside. If we're going to be infected, our family needs to be together." I quickly stopped her. "No. You all just stay at home safe and sound. Absolutely do not come out. We have grain and food at home. Just buy some more essential supplies. Do not come to pick me up. What if I encounter infected people on the road?" Upon hearing this, she started crying. "Your second uncle got infected. Fortunately, the symptoms started during the day. He immediately bit your second aunt. Then the couple started howling like animals. Your third brother quickly tied them up with a rope and called the treatment center right away. Who would have thought that before the ambulance even arrived, the couple bit each other's necks apart? You have no idea how terrifying it was. Your older brother came back and has been having nightmares. Your third brother was crying his eyes out, saying he's the one who killed his parents. Oh girl, let's not even talk about how we lived in the past. After your dad passed away, Mom didn't take good care of you three siblings. If anything happens to you, and I can't even see you one last time before I die, what am I supposed to tell your dad when I see him? How about Mom comes to find you? If we are together, we won't be afraid of anything. My dad passed away the year I went to college. A heart attack, he couldn't be saved. My mom only allowed herself to grieve for 1 month, then went back to working in the fields like before. During the farming off-season, she'd work in the city. At that time, my older brother just started working. I was in college. My younger brother was in high school. Even in such a difficult situation, my mom never made me take out a student loan. Rural folks always feel they can't hold their heads high if they owe money. Every month, she counted the days to send me living expenses. Afraid I wouldn't have enough, she would always give a little extra. After I started working, she did ask me for quite a bit of money. In her mind, we are a family. Whoever earns the money, we spend it together. I had a responsibility to help my brothers. But after this kind of disaster happened, she couldn't bear to let me be alone and helpless in another city. After all, we're all her children. My eyes felt sore. I held back my tears and told her that I had hoarded a lot of stuff and reinforced my door with a security gate. I also told her a colleague of mine was a rescue volunteer and he would check on me regularly. To set her mind at ease, I started a video call and showed her the food and meat I had stockpiled. Only then did she reluctantly hang up the phone. Call Mom if anything happens, okay? At this time, there was no way I was going home. And I certainly didn't want to leave this apartment complex, although cases were found in my complex. It was very well controlled. Also, because we are in the suburbs, the population density is low. I stood on the balcony and looked outside. If I remember correctly, that tree in the complex has grown taller again. Did something affect the tree's growth? But why was only this tree growing so fast, while other trees hadn't changed at all? Speaking of which, I opened my computer to search. Some botanists said, under certain specific environmental conditions or under specific stimuli, plants could experience explosive growth. However, every plant has different requirements for its growing environment. The recent weather could be considered extreme. It's late autumn, yet it's hotter than midsummer. We completely transitioned from autumn straight back into summer. I searched all over forums and message boards. The most credible explanation was the Earth's magnetic field was somehow affected, causing drastic changes in the weather. Therefore, both plants and humans underwent changes, resulting in this extreme virus. I quickly downloaded these research papers to read more thoroughly later. Knock, 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 someone was at the door. Did my delivery arrive this fast? I closed my laptop, ran over, pulled open the inner door, and saw a bloody face. The eyeballs were bulging so much they almost burst out of their sockets. Slime was dripping from its mouth. The clothes on its body were also heavily bloodstained. Upon seeing me, it reached through the security gate with both hands. Good grief, that scared the living daylights out of me. I immediately slammed the inner door shut. Looking through the peephole, the infected person was still groaning and screaming, shaking the security gate violently. Thank God I installed that security gate, otherwise I would have been a goner today. I quickly took out my phone and dialed the treatment center. Line busy. It seems way too many people have erupted with symptoms recently. The center was completely overwhelmed. I sent a message to Shang Chen and gave him my home address. Shang Chen and his team arrived very quickly, bringing along their giant clamps and nets. They swiftly tied up the infected person. Wow, and then they quickly sent the infected person to the treatment center. I originally wanted to invite them in for a bit, but Shang Chen refused. He whispered, I know you've hoarded supplies. Don't tell anyone about it. Right now, supplies are scarce. You're a girl living alone, you need to be careful. I'm leaving now. Shang Chen is such a good guy. My deepest memory of him was right after I joined the company. We had a team leader who was great at passing the buck. Whenever there was a bug, he'd push me out to take the blame. I couldn't stand it anymore. Finally, I told the director, I didn't write this block of code. The team leader wrote it. Of course, the team leader wouldn't admit it. He immediately used his position to suppress me, saying, "If you don't know how to do the task I gave you, just say so. Don't try to shirk your responsibility." I was so angry I was about to cry. I wanted to slam the door and quit right then and there. That was when Shang Chen, the tech god, who was watching from the sidelines, spoke up. He said, "I built this architecture back in the day. A lot of things in there are extremely critical. Why did you let a newcomer touch this code? Is she qualified enough yet?" The team leader was left speechless. He tried to mumble some nonsense about training newcomers and giving newcomers opportunities. But God-tier Shang didn't give him another chance to speak. He just picked up his mug and floated away. And a few days later, because the team leader arbitrarily assigned inappropriate work to a newcomer, he was heavily reprimanded. In the afternoon, my deliveries finally arrived, but I didn't dare to casually open the door anymore. Through the door, I asked the delivery guy to leave the packages outside. I only dared to go get them after he had walked far away. This should be the last batch of things I buy. There are more and more infected people. Many businesses have closed down. It's no longer suitable to go out and buy things. And delivery drivers probably won't be working anymore either. Looking at the mountain of supplies in my apartment, I felt somewhat relieved in my heart. These should be enough to last until this wave of disease passes, right? For lunch, I made myself a bowl of noodles. Fortunately, water and electricity were still running, so eating and drinking wasn't an issue yet. I was eating noodles and scrolling on my phone when the AC suddenly stopped. I checked the power switch. The power went out. So much for celebrating the electricity. I didn't dare scroll on my phone anymore. Without electricity, my phone would soon be dead. I remembered the radio I bought earlier. I turned on the radio and caught the news broadcast. Because the number of infected people continues to rise and a specific cure hasn't been developed yet. The city is currently in a state of semi-paralysis. If possible, citizens are requested to stockpile essential goods and minimize going outdoors. Listening to the news broadcast, I finished my noodles. After washing the dishes, I dug out all the basins and buckets I had at home and filled them with water. Just in case the water stops too, I can survive for a few more days. Today's sun was still blindingly bright. I couldn't even remember how long it had been since it rained. If this scorching heat and drought continued, crop harvests would probably become a problem. I looked out the window again. That tree was growing even more vigorously under the blazing sun. I wondered if one day I could just open my window and pluck the leaves right off this tree. With nothing to do and afraid to use my phone or laptop, I had no choice but to lie on the floor and stare blankly, and then I fell asleep. When I woke up, the room was pitch black. I reached out to grab my phone. It was 9:00 p.m. I peeked out the window. There was no light at all. It seemed the power still hadn't come back. I used to live that 996 9 p.m., 6 every days day after getting home. I just wanted to lie down, fantasizing about being able to lie down forever. However, now that I am lying flat, I still don't feel very happy at all. Instead, I feel more anxious and worried, thinking about this. I fell asleep again. I woke up again because I was freezing from the floor. Ice cold, I quickly crawled onto the sofa and found a blanket to wrap myself in. Why is it suddenly so cold? It was scorching hot just these past few days. At this moment, the sky was gray and cloudy. I pressed my phone screen. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the morning. The sun should be out. I ran to the window. Still no electricity. Everything was gray and hazy. I could faintly see snowflakes. Snow? Yesterday it was still boiling hot. And today it's snowing? Instant winter. It suddenly plunged straight into winter, wrapped in my heavy blanket. Looking out at the gray sky, my brain practically blue screened for a few minutes. This unpredictable, hellish weather. I casually turned on my small radio. The news anchor was talking about the weather. Experts predicted it was due to the Earth's magnetic anomaly. After the extended summer, there was no transition. It jumped straight into winter. Citizens shouldn't panic. Just bring out your winter clothes first. Ensure your health is protected. Furthermore, it's expected that this winter will last much longer than in previous years. and be much colder. The government is already holding emergency meetings discussing plans to turn on the central heating early. I dug out my thermal underwear, long puffer jackets, thick socks, and winter shoes, and packed away my summer clothes. The apartment I rented had its own independent heating system, so I quickly went and turned on the heater. It was still very cold. I sat on the sofa wrapped in my blanket and unlocked my phone. A WeChat message from Shang Chen immediately popped up. Winter is here, are you alright? Do not go out. Stay at home. While I replied, okay, I started wondering, why is the tech god caring so much about me? Could it be that because of these recent events, he has suddenly fallen in love with me? That's just too ridiculous. As a female programmer, I did dream about romance when I was younger. That I would fall in love with another programmer, and we'd swim through the code of love together. But living the 2-point straight line, 996 lifestyle of a code monkey left me no time to think about extra feelings. As for God-tier Shang, he was the unreachable flower on the high peak. Way out of my league, in this freezing winter. Fantasizing a bit about a romance between the tech god and me doesn't actually keep me warm. I silently pulled my little blanket tighter around me. Another message from Shang Chen arrived right then. From now on, do not buy anything else. And absolutely do not open the door for anyone. Keep the door deadbolted. Do not show any lights. Pretend there's no one inside. What he said made a lot of sense. And during the cold, I closed all the curtains. Just like that, 3 days passed. The heavy snow finally stopped. The sun came out. Outside was blindingly white. I opened a corner of the curtains, but quickly looked away. I was going to get snow blindness. A moment later, I thought I heard some noise. I pulled back the curtain a tiny bit. In the snow, several people were wrestling. Their movements were quite stiff. I picked up my phone and called the treatment center. While the line was busy, I opened Shang Chen's WeChat and told him there were infected people in our complex again. He immediately called me back. His tone was full of urgency. Do not go out. Stop worrying about these things anymore. Do you hear me? It was my first time seeing the tech god so anxious. It was quite novel. What's wrong with you? He didn't answer my question. I'll come find you. I quickly said, no need, I'm not going out. I can handle it. He stayed silent for a while. All right, don't go out. Do not go out. It felt like some sort of incantation. I further reinforced my doors and windows and brought out the generator I had stored. This kind of small generator, if used just for charging, can actually last for a very long time. Even after turning on the heater, the room was still freezing cold. I touched the radiator. No good, there was no temperature. It seems the natural gas supply has also failed. I turned on the gas stove. Sure enough, there was only a hissing sound. No fire appeared. Fortunately, I had stockpiled an alcohol stove and solid fuel. Using these to cook a full meal isn't very effective, but it's decent enough for heating up food. I'll survive on snacks for now. To ensure my supplies weren't consumed too quickly, I minimized my physical movement and tried to eat as little as possible. I hoped this weather would pass soon. Otherwise, the severe cold might freeze a lot of people to death. Having experienced the extreme heat and now the severe winter, one can clearly feel that the cold winter is much harder to endure than the heat. I basically never turned on my phone anymore and avoided using electrical appliances. I'd listen to the news once a day, but lately, there were fewer and fewer news broadcasts. Most of the announcements were just encouraging citizens to stay home and stay warm, along with some analysis from experts. I could feel that the situation was seemingly getting more and more severe. Recently, the weather was basically 2 days of sun, followed by 3 days of heavy snow. It had been going on like this for almost a month. No one was clearing the snow in the complex. It was dead silent. I even started to wonder if the snow had already piled up to the second floor. I pulled back the curtains a bit to let some sunlight in. If I didn't get some vitamin D, I felt my bones would crumble. I've tried calling my mom these past few days. I'm guessing my hometown had also lost power. Without a generator, their phones and devices would have no power, so they all shut down. I don't know how they're doing. I suddenly understood what my mom said that time. No matter what happens, as long as the family is together, it's fine. A loud, frantic banging came from outside the door. Someone was yelling, "Help! We're starving to death. Please open the door and give us some food." I didn't dare to open the door. I didn't even dare to look through the peephole. At a time like this, I couldn't afford to show any sympathy. I wrapped my blanket tight, curled up on the sofa, and tried not to make a single sound. Then came the sound of trying to pry the door open. The security gate I installed is made of high-quality, expensive steel. Without specialized tools, it's impossible to break open, especially the door lock. I used a very high-end fingerprint lock, plus a double latch inside. After a bout of banging and prying, I heard a man's gruff voice, cursing and swearing as he walked away. I felt around for my phone and opened my mom's WeChat. The last message was from right after it first started snowing. My mom told me everyone at home was fine, and I replied that I was doing very well too. Right now, I really wanted to say I wasn't doing well. The supplies I had hoarded were slowly being depleted. This winter seemed endlessly long, as if it would never pass. Every week, Shang Chen would send me a single message. "You okay?" I would reply, "Good," to save power. We didn't say much to each other. On the 40th day of winter, I was really going to lose my mind. This damn weather seemed endless. Because today, it snowed again. Based on the current pattern, one snowfall lasts for 3 days, then the snow pile would reach right under my window. Shang Chen sent me a voice message that day. I quickly tapped it to listen. In the past, I hated it the most when people sent voice messages, but now, my hands were shaking with excitement as I clicked on it. I just needed to hear a human voice so desperately. He only said one sentence, "Winter will pass soon. Stay strong, hold on." I replied with a "will do." And that was it. Saving power is king. I don't know if Shang Chen is some kind of prophet, but this snowfall only lasted for 1 day. The next day, the sky cleared up, and the weather got warmer. I could actually feel a gentle, warm breeze blowing through the window. After the snow stopped, spring arrived very quickly. Soon, patches of green appeared in the snow. I noticed that the tree that had been secretly growing taller was now almost reaching my window. This tree has the most badass vitality I've ever seen. Whether it was the extreme heat or the severe winter, it had never once stopped growing. Looking at its bright green leaves, I felt very happy. My radio could receive signals again. The news anchor had been replaced by someone else amidst the buzzing static. He announced that experts had finally found a specific drug to treat the infected. Even the vaccine research had made new breakthroughs. So all along, throughout the harsh winter, there were still so many people working silently in the background. I suddenly felt a wave of passion surging in my heart. Spring was truly here. The day the electricity was restored was the 20th day of spring. In the quiet night, the streetlights suddenly flickered on. The lights in my room also lit up. I saw the apartments opposite me light up one by one. I really hoped that inside every lit room, there was a healthy family. I immediately plugged in my phone and quickly charged my generator as well. Once my phone had power, I called my mom, hearing her crying on the other end. I couldn't hold back either. We both cried for a while. She said nothing major happened at home, except they almost starved to death. Luckily, my younger brother had hoarded a lot of snacks. During the final days, everyone survived by eating expired food. Just as I hung up the phone, I heard a knock on the door. I still didn't really dare to open it. Then Shang Chen sent me a message. "It's me, open the door." I looked through the peephole. Sure enough, it was Shang Chen. He had lost a lot of weight, but his overall spirit was very good. I opened the double security doors and let him in. Who would have thought? The first thing he did upon entering was hug me tight. Oh boy, so passionate. After the hug, we were both a little awkward. I had to break the silence. "You sit for a bit. I'll boil some water for you to drink." He smiled and said, "Okay." I turned on the gas stove. As expected, the natural gas was back too. Drinking the hot water, I listened to him talk. Shang Chen said, it might be hard to believe, but I am actually a reincarnator. When I woke up, I found myself back before the apocalypse started, just in time for the company layoffs. So I added your name to the layoff list. I figured after getting laid off, you'd probably go back to your hometown. As long as you went back, you wouldn't be like in my previous life, where you got infected trying to save someone and eventually died from it. I just didn't expect that you wouldn't leave. I had no choice but to quietly hack into your home network and found out you were hoarding supplies. I couldn't be sure if you were also a reincarnator, so I could only drop hints while observing you. Fortunately, in this life, you never went out, and you never went to be a volunteer. I was quite curious. So, in his previous life, I died? He said guiltily, you were trying to save me. Who would have thought that a girl like you could possess such explosive strength? When I was surrounded by several infected people, you actually reached out and dragged me away. It's just that later, you were scratched by an infected person. I'm sorry I didn't protect you well. I shook my head. I had no memory whatsoever of that past life, but in this life, you have helped me so much. There's nothing to be sorry about. He held his cup, looked at me with burning intensity, and smiled. At that moment, my 30-something-year-old ancient heart skipped a beat. But no matter what, laying low was indeed a great choice. The end.